Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with a police force in crisis. The officers who took a risk by opening up to Global National about their depression and squalid living conditions are tonight saying they've had enough. With cutbacks to their force of 150 officers looming, they're threatening to quit en masse. Here's our senior investigative correspondent, Jennifer Tryon.
The most dilapidated building in all of PEAWANUCK, Ontario is the police detachment. The Deputy Grand Chief of 34 communities policed by NAPS has come to see the conditions for himself.
This is the cell.
That's it?
This is the cell.
There's nowhere even to sit?
No.
What is it?
There's no toilet?
There's no toilet.
There's nothing.
The detachment is little more than plywood and bars. There's not even plumbing.
If they don't have toilets, it's a bucket. That's what people use, and then the officers have to empty that.
Disgusting, deplorable conditions.
It's just totally unacceptable the way it is. This the conditions of the cell. I would hope I would never have to spend a night here, you know.
But because members of his community do, he's called a state of emergency.
Just strangle themselves.
Alerting Ottawa and Queen's Park that the Northern Police Force is in crisis. We met officers suffering from PTSD and depression who've contemplated taking their own lives. 2 already have, because there's no escaping the isolation. They live in shacks, and the turnover rate is at 50%. You're the chief of police. Why do you let this happen?
It's to find the funds to actually do it. But I mean, quite frankly, this is totally unacceptable. We don't want to have people in these cells. It's inhumane.
So they're drawing the line in the snow, threatening to shut down the service if the federal and provincial governments don't act to improve conditions.
We cannot, in good conscience, sign on to another extension or a new agreement under the current circumstances.
And they've got bargaining power. The current funding agreement expires Sunday, and the community chiefs are preparing for what could be a drastic changing of the guard.
The OPP would be obligated, I think the province would be obligated to ensure public security for our communities.
They bring in the OPP?
Yeah, the OPP will be an answer, but it's going to cost money to the government.
It would cost the province millions to suddenly be tasked with policing 34 remote fly-in communities.
It certainly would be an increase in cost for us, but that would be part of the service delivery and our mandate, right, to provide. We are in the stages of developing contingency plans right now.
Wow. NAPS began 17 years ago as a policing program, a way for communities to police their own people. But it's never been regulated under the Police Services Act like every other force. That has led to a long list of substandard working conditions and no recourse for officers.
If it isn't properly funded and these issues aren't addressed, then it will implode at some point.
The federal minister is refusing additional funds, but will agree to meet leaders to change how that money is spent.
We can sit down with the province and say, is there a better way to assist First Nations policing interests?
Ottawa is also still planning to cut funding that could save the NAPS force from having to lay off 10% of its officers, leaving First Nations leaders, they say, no choice but to potentially fold. Robin.